looking at these two rosters, it's really interesting, and Jeff Merrick was the one who pointed this out, but you always hear, like, the way to build a team is through the draft, and I absolutely agree with that, but you look at these two teams, man, a lot of their big names, key contributors, stars, they're all trades and free agent signings. Like, it's absolutely nuts. Tkachuk, trade. Reinhart was a trade. Brandon Montour was a trade, just to name a few. You look at the Vegas side of things. Jack Eichel was a trade. Pietrangelo, free agent signing. And there are others in there. Aiden Hill was acquired for really like a late round pick from San Jose, and there are others in there as well. But I thought that was a really good thing to bring up.
I agree. I also heard Merrick say that. And I was thinking to myself, while yes, that's true, a lot of those players are, not drafted by the team they're currently playing for. They're acquired through trade or even, waiver claims. Like, a guy we always bring up is Gustav Forsling, right? Yeah. That's one of your favorite waiver claims to bring up because he's a rock there, and 31 other teams didn't think he was that good. So, that's pretty incredible. But I thought it was almost more fair to frame it as, teams who manage their assets well. Because,
that's true.
Because Florida, yes, a lot of those players are acquired through trade or even free agency, but you have to be able to manage, your cap, first of all, to do that. And they had times throughout the season where, they wanted to activate Anthony Duclair, who has been a really good player for them in the playoffs this year, and they couldn't because they didn't have the cap space. So I feel like just being a general manager who's willing to part with either your young pieces to get good players back in a trade to win now, or being willing to, move cap space around to make it work. Obviously, those are both really important. So that's how I would frame it. These two teams have both been ruthless and pretty efficient with managing their assets. Even though, when you look at Vegas, in terms of asset management, they didn't get a lot back for, guys like Marc-Andre Fleury or Max Pacioretty, but they got them off the books and brought in other money. So.
Yeah, they really value cap space for sure.
Your head scout would be giving you a message in EA Sports if you played the way Vegas plays at GM mode, because
exactly.
They sign so many players to contracts and then trade them instantly, and then draft everyone and trade all their first round pick, not their first round picks, but the guys they picked in the first round. It's it's really not a team that's been built through the draft, Harper. Like you said, it's been all trades for those guys and signings. It's a lot easier to sign guys in Vegas and Florida in the Sun Belt and in the taxless states than Winnipeg.
Yeah, exactly.
No kidding.
And I think that's a good word to describe both of these teams and the way that these two GMs, Kelly McCrimmon in Vegas and Bill Zito in Florida, the way they've done things. Ruthless, I think, is the key word there. And, I look at Florida especially, and at the time that blockbuster deal went down, I talked about this in our last episode on the Panthers, but I mean, we saw that as Florida absolutely getting fleeced in that deal with the Calgary Flames. But the Flowers arranged themselves this year, and Tkachuk has proved that he is, he can be a go-to guy and has been different in these playoffs. So it's going to be interesting to watch for sure.
Yeah, talk about ruthless. You're setting multiple franchise records for us in points in a season, etc. MVP voting player. You didn't get it done in the playoffs. We're going to trade you for someone who does.
Yeah, or not even franchise records case, most assists in a single season by a left winger ever in NHL history. That's, and then, you're gone. See you later. I will say though, hindsight's 2020, right? At the time, we thought that was a massive win for the Flames. Now it looks like a massive win for Florida. I think there's somewhere in the middle that this trade is going to play out. And, Mackenzie Weegar, Yeah, Mackenzie Weegar being the defenseman of the tournament at the World Championships over the past week. He's going to have something to say about it next year because he didn't have a fantastic season. And then Jonathan Huberdeau had his worst season ever, and I think he's going to come out next year and have something to say about it too. So even though like it looks like right now, and especially if Florida wins the Cup and Matthew Tkachuk wins the Conn Smythe, it's going to look like an absolute fleece by Florida. I wouldn't be so quick to judge. I think we need to see like the contracts of all players kind of play themselves out and see where the team success is, because those are two pretty damn good players on Calgary now too. So.
Well, the new head coach is going to be the key there for sure, and but that's why trades are so interesting. That's why you can't say that this is a win one way or another right off the bat. You look at I think you look at the Eichel deal. That's a win-win for both franchises involved in Buffalo and Vegas, and then. You look at how terrible that looked, the trade, the O'Reilly deal, how terrible that looked for a while there for Buffalo, and now it looks really good. So that's the interesting thing about trades. But